They'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little off the front line.
Hey everyone, Willie here. The Transatlantic Alliance, the bedrock of global security for 3 generations, has just been declared dead on arrival. This is not an obituary written by critics.
I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed.
It is the new operational reality. In the most furious diplomatic rupture in NATO's 77-year history, the United States finds itself not at the head of the table, but locked outside the room. World leaders are not merely issuing angry statements. They are executing a strategic coup. They are constructing a new economic and security architecture that deliberately, surgically, bypasses Washington. The narrative that NATO is broken has shifted from a grim prediction to a cold, hard fact. As you watch this, the United States is in the process of withdrawing from 66 international bodies. Tariffs of 41% are slamming into the economies of our closest friends. And now, those friends have retaliated, not with missiles, but with signatures, forging a new world order that leaves America on the sideline. In this video, we will dissect the exact terms of the colossal EU-India deal signed today. We will reveal the specific, searing insult that caused the United Kingdom and Germany to turn their backs. And we will lay bare the terrifying economic portrait of an isolated America in 2026. This is the definitive story of how the West divorced the United States. To comprehend why Ursula von der Leyen and Narendra Modi shared that triumphant handshake in New Delhi today, you must first understand the white-hot fury burning in London and Berlin. The catalyst was not a complex treaty violation or a secret spy scandal. It was a public, televised insult. Last Thursday on American television, President Trump made a claim that effectively erased the shared sacrifice of 2 decades. In an effort to justify his isolationist stance and his threats to abandon NATO, he stated that America's allies, nations like Britain, Canada, Germany, and Poland, stayed a little back, a little off the front lines, while American soldiers bore the brunt of the fighting in Afghanistan. The diplomatic explosion was instantaneous and thermonuclear. For the first time in living memory, a British Prime Minister publicly, viscerally, shredded a sitting U.S. president. Sir Keir Starmer did not mince words. He called the comments frankly appalling and insulting. But this fury was not just about hurt pride, it was fueled by irrefutable, sacred data. Let's look at the numbers, because the numbers tell the true story of blood and betrayal. The United Kingdom lost 457 service members in Afghanistan. Canada lost 158. Germany lost 59. Denmark, per capita, suffered some of the heaviest losses in the entire coalition. These men and women were not staying back. They were dying in the poppy fields of Helmand and the streets of Kandahar, side by side with American troops in the same dust, under the same sun. The German response was even more extraordinary. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius shattered diplomatic protocol, taking to German national television to demand an apology. His words were a dagger.
Extreme call. They have the same that we do. I personally asked President Putin not to fire on Kiev and the cities and towns for a week during this. It's extraordinary. It's not just like cold, it's extraordinary cold, record-setting cold, over there too.
It is just not right, and it is disrespectful to talk about the dead of your allies in that way. To claim something else today is simply not true. This transcends mere offense. This is the disintegration of the foundational trust upon which NATO is built. Article 5, the sacred pledge that an attack on one is an attack on all, relies entirely on the unshakable belief that the United States honors the sacrifice of its partners. When the president dismisses the blood of British and German soldiers as cowardice, he is not being impolite. He is declaring for the entire world to hear that their alliance is worthless to him. He is telling them their sons and daughters died for nothing. Europe's reaction was not just a flurry of angry press releases. It was a chilling, strategic realization. Leaders in Berlin, Paris, and London understood that the Trump storm was not a passing squall to be waited out. It was a permanent climate shift they had to survive. If the American president did not value their blood, he would certainly not protect their borders. This epiphany acted like a shot of adrenaline into the heart of European foreign policy. Slow-moving, years-long negotiations with India were transformed overnight into a frantic, determined sprint. With NATO's heart frozen and the transatlantic trade bridge ablaze under a barrage of American tariffs, Europe needed a new anchor. It looked east and found the world's largest democracy waiting with open arms. Now, Let's examine the tectonic shift that occurred today, January 27, 2026. While Washington was consumed with internal debates over tariff rates, Brussels and New Delhi finalized an agreement 2 decades in the making. The European Commission is calling it the mother of all deals. They are not exaggerating. This is not a minor trade adjustment. This is the comprehensive economic integration of the Eurasian supercontinent, and the United States is notably absent from the blueprint. Here is the breakdown of the authentic data released this morning. The pact creates a seamless free trade zone encompassing over 2 billion consumers. It eliminates tariffs on a staggering 96% of all EU goods entering India. This is historic. India has long been one of the world's most protectionist economies. They do not open their markets lightly. But for Europe, they have not just opened the door, they have taken it off its hinges. Consider the automotive industry. For decades, selling a German BMW or an Italian Lamborghini in India meant facing a crippling 110% import tax, a wall that made mass market success impossible. Under this new deal, that tariff plummets to 10%. This is a lifeline, a gold rush for the German auto giants Volkswagen, Mercedes, BMW, who are currently being squeezed by Trump's punitive tariffs in the US market. They are effectively trading the stagnant, hostile American consumer for the booming, hungry Indian middle class. But it goes far beyond cars. Tariffs on European wine, once at 150%, are being slashed. Duties on machinery, 44%, chemicals, 22%, and pharmaceuticals are eliminated. In return, India gains tariff-free access for 99% of its exports to the EU's wealthy market. Indian textiles, leather goods, jewelry, industries that employ tens of millions, now have a direct, tax-free pipeline to the shopping districts of Paris, Berlin, and Milan. The timing is a masterclass in geopolitical chess. Just as Indian exporters are staring down President Trump's new reciprocal tariffs of 25-40%, the European market swings open like a vault. Just as European manufacturers face a 15% wall in the US, the gates to India's vast consumer base are thrown wide. This is a classic pincer movement. The two largest democracies on Earth, by both population and combined GDP, are formally hedging their bets against the volatility of the third. Ursula von der Leyen's statement in New Delhi today was a message in a bottle, and it was addressed to one man in Washington, D.C. We have sent a signal to the world that rules-based cooperation still delivers great outcomes. The signal is deafeningly clear. We do not need you to prosper. The title of this video mentions a ban. Legally, expelling the United States from NATO or the World Trade Organization is a nearly impossible task. But in the high-stakes game of geopolitics, you don't need a legal eviction. You simply change the locks. This is the essence of a soft ban. A soft ban is when intelligence sharing between allies slows to a trickle because of breached trust. A soft ban is when global trade routes are silently remapped to avoid American ports. A soft ban is when the G7 summit becomes a G6+1, where the real decisions are made in hushed hallway conversations before the American president even enters the room. We are witnessing this soft ban unfold in real time. As Europe and India integrate, the United States is retreating into a defiant and bizarre isolation. President Trump has launched his Board of Peace, an alternative international forum that includes Vladimir Putin, but pointedly excludes traditional Western allies. He has formally withdrawn the U.S. from 66 international organizations in just 1 year, decrying globalist agendas. The result? The world is moving on without asking for permission. Consider Europe's push for strategic autonomy. For years, this was a polite buzzword in Brussels think tanks, a vague notion that Europe should be able to defend itself. Today, it is a desperate survival strategy. The EU-India deal is not merely about commerce. It contains a massive, groundbreaking chapter on defense and security cooperation. They are not just trading wine and cars. They are coordinating on maritime security in the Indo-Pacific. They are aligning on cybersecurity protocols. They are discussing the very topics they once reserved exclusively for Washington. India, too, is executing a profound pivot. India was a cornerstone of the Quad Alliance, US, India, Japan, Australia, designed to counter China. But with the United States becoming an unpredictable partner, imposing tariffs on Indian goods and threatening visa restrictions, India is diversifying its portfolio. New Delhi is betting that a stable, rules-based partnership with Europe is a safer long-term investment than a tumultuous marriage with America first. So, what does this mean for you, the American viewer, and for the global economic landscape? The isolation of the United States carries a staggering and very specific price tag. President Trump argues that his tariffs will force a great rebuilding, compelling companies to return to American shores. He points to successes, like a massive $550 billion investment pledge from Japan in mid-2025. Yet, economists warn these pledges are often paper tigers, grand promises that can evaporate when economic conditions shift. The tangible reality for Americans is inflation. When you impose a 25% tax on a vast swath of global imports, consumer prices rise. But the greater, more insidious danger is market access. American farmers, the soybean growers of Iowa, the corn producers of Nebraska, built their livelihoods on export markets. Now, as Europe and India erase tariffs between them, those American farmers are stranded on the outside. A French farmer can now sell wheat to India tax-free. An American farmer must pay a tariff. The choice for an Indian buyer is simple, and it is not American. This process is called trade diversion, and it is the silent killer of economic superpowers. The EU-India deal grants European companies a first-mover advantage in a market of 1.45 billion people. By the time the U.S. administration wakes up and attempts to negotiate its own deal, the shelves in Mumbai and Delhi will already be stocked with German engineering, French fashion, and Italian cuisine. We are losing the market of the future because we are obsessed with the grievances of the past. Projections are stark. By 2030, trade volume along the EU-India corridor is expected to double. Meanwhile, U.S.-European trade is forecast to shrink by 15%, strangled by the ongoing tariff war. This is the quiet math of decline. You do not lose superpower status in a dramatic battle. You lose it incrementally, as everyone else simply learns to do business without you. We cannot discuss this diplomatic collapse without addressing the surreal, yet critically dangerous, Greenland crisis. It sounds like a farce, but it is a primary driver of the current NATO fracture. President Trump has forcefully renewed his interest in purchasing Greenland from Denmark. When Denmark refused, again, tensions erupted, with Trump threatening devastating tariffs on the small NATO ally. This is not merely about real estate. It is about the Arctic, the new frontier of global strategy. As the ice melts, priceless shipping lanes and mineral resources are being unveiled. The U.S. wants control. But by publicly bullying Denmark, a loyal and steadfast ally, Trump has terrified the entire Nordic bloc. Sweden, Finland, and Norway now look upon the United States not as a protector, but as a potential predator. This has driven these nations deeper into the integrated defense framework of the European Union and further from the US-led NATO command. It is yet another brick in the towering wall of American isolation. History will likely record January 2026 as the definitive turning point. The moment the great powers of the Eurasian Rimland, Europe and India, decided to join hands and quietly close the gate on the Atlantic power. Donald Trump vowed to put America first. In a tragic, ironic sense, he has succeeded. America is now alone, first in isolation, first in tariffs, but last in the room where the future is being written. The ban is not official. No parchment exists expelling the United States from NATO. But when your allies construct a new world economy that excludes you, when they sign the most ambitious deals in history without you, when they demand apologies for your insults to their war dead, you are forced to confront a painful question. Did we leave them, or did they finally leave us? The EU-India deal is signed. The ink is dry. The tariffs are up. The walls are high. Welcome to the new world. It is a furious, realigning world. And for the first time in a century, America is flying solo. This story is accelerating by the hour. The full ramifications of this geopolitical divorce will take months to materialize. The U.S. response, likely a new wave of tariffs, is expected within days. If you want to stay ahead of the curve of history, ensure you are subscribed. We are tracking the money, the treaties, and the telling silence between world leaders. What do you think? Is this soft ban the end of American hegemony? Or is President Trump correct to demand more from allies, even if it means burning the bridges of the past? The conversation is now yours. The future is being written, And America is no longer holding the pen.